hiring and our training, our accountability, the numbers of cops. We need to change the arbitration and we need to change the state law. But I wish I knew a better way.
Thank you. If that completes public testimony, colleagues, I'd like to move. Commissioner Fritz, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to acknowledge that I feel physically ill about supporting this settlement. And the most important thing is to get rid of this person off the police force and to make absolutely certain that he can never wear the police officer's uniform, never carry a police gun, never be out in our community. And this settlement is the only way that we can ensure that that happens. It's also going to be the most cost-effective way that happens, because if we were to lose this arbitration, which since this was the first time he's made a comment, even close, he's never had any discipline for making inappropriate comments before. So the arbitrator would say that this is, looking at the discipline guide, as Dan Handelman pointed out, that this is inappropriate discipline. And then you not only pay back pay, you pay the penalties, we get this person back on the police force. And that is absolutely unacceptable. And so that is why reluctantly I'm going to support this settlement. While recognizing we need to change the discipline guide, we need to change the state law, we need to give the mayor and the police chief the power to fire officers who do not behave with Portland's values.
I'd like to move an amendment to remove the emergency clause.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call the roll on the amendment.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Hardesty. Aye. Udine.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye, the amendment passes. Could I speak to, is Mr. Amberg still here? Very good, thank you. So you heard the testimony, you understand, and I frankly, I empathize and understand the frustration of taxpayers who say, okay, Mayor, you made a pretty strong statement about racist behavior and racist remarks. You've set a high standard for the police bureau, which I have, and I've acknowledged that, and I believe, by the way, most men and women in the police bureau support having high standards for the police bureau. You've heard people say it is egregious that we would pay somebody who has made a remark that I have already acknowledged I believe to be deeply offensive and racist. And I will go so far as to say we wouldn't be having this conversation in the private sector. The individual would already be gone. There wouldn't be this lengthy process surrounding it, and we wouldn't even have this angst. I have chosen not to say on the record what this individual said because I believe it has been reported. If I am wrong, I will make sure that that remark is reported. I do not think it is appropriate to say it here today. I just personally don't. If somebody else wants to say it, that's fine. But it is egregious, and I think most people will acknowledge it is, and the other sergeants who overheard it also agreed it's egregious. My goal here is to make sure that my wish and the police chief's wish is carried out, which is that this individual is not able to wear the uniform of Portland police officer because I believe his actions disqualify him from that. He does not rise to the high standard that I hold as the mayor and the police commissioner for this city, or the high standard that Police Chief Outlaw holds for this city. It is my understanding that because of the arbitration process, as you described it, Officer Lewis will not be judged merely based on the moment, what he said in the moment, which is the way most employees in most companies are evaluated. If you screw up, they don't go back and review the entirety of your record. If you screwed up, they hold you accountable for the screw up when it happens. We don't do that. The arbitration process, as I understand it, would require a broader review.
Excuse me, yes, Mayor, that's correct. And I think, I want to be clear, I don't think anybody disputes the egregiousness of the comment.
Right, so the question then really is, and I think what's really galling people, at least those who have testified, is the payout. And so Here's the question, and maybe you already answered it. I feel like you did, but I'm going to ask it slightly differently, which is, isn't there a historical precedent whereby other people have been suggested, disciplinary actions have been suggested by mayors and police chiefs that have then been overturned by the arbitrator? And did you not say you believe this is a highly likely scenario in this particular case, because they will look at not just the event itself, but they'll look at a broader context and the broader history? Is that what you said?
Yes, yes, Mayor.
Good. Then with
that's
that, I want to acknowledge the frustration and anger people are expressing in this room. I'm willing to take the heat. I believe it is so important to get rid of this individual that I am willing to take the heat and pay that settlement to get rid of him, because he's not up to the standard that I have for the Portland Police Bureau, or frankly the standards that I believe this community wishes to hold the Police Bureau to. So thank you for that. Any further questions?
Yes, please. Since we're not voting today, I would like to put comments on the record in recognition of community members who came here to give testimony today and to respond to some of the concerns that were raised. Like the mayor and Commissioner Fritz, I understand the public's frustration. I am very frustrated. I had planned to vote no on this item on principle. I had planned to vote no on this item on principle. Past councils have bargained away a lot of our power to oversee the Portland Police Bureau. I want us to get rid of mandatory arbitration altogether. I don't want to change the rules. I don't want it. We should be able to get rid of any city employee who engages in this kind of conduct and many others. But this is the frustrating and flawed system we have to work with today, and it's not just local. It's the DA, it's state law, and it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. All we have power over right now is our jurisdiction. I want to thank the sergeants for coming forward and holding this officer accountable. I think it is so important for the public to see police officers breaking rank and calling out other officers on this kind of behavior. And frankly, we need to see more of it if we're ever going to restore trust in the community with the public. And I don't know if that is even remotely possible. I want to thank the chief and the mayor for their swift and decisive decision. This is an imperfect solution made within a flawed system. And it highlights what many of us know. Our ability to affect meaningful change is limited when structures themselves are broken. We cannot continue to sign off on an arbitration process that circumvents our ability to hold officers accountable. And we're skirting around the issue because we can't talk about the specific cases, but we know that time and time again, officers have been fired or disciplined by the chief and the mayor, and through mandatory arbitration, it's overturned. The public blames us, and to a certain extent, that's reasonable, but again, our power has been bargained away, and we need to get it back. I look forward to working with my colleagues to revisit this and the Bureau's retire rehire program and many other issues in the next union negotiations, which is our big opportunity to really affect some change, and I hope everyone in this room comes back for those conversations. For now, however, I think it's important to state the obvious. None of us are happy with this outcome. Not all of us may support it. Yet we know that the arbitration process will very, very likely leave us in a worse position, spending more tax dollars and open to this officer coming back. Police chiefs come and go, mayors come and go, commissioners come and go. There's no guarantee that a few years from now, and we're not talking about a 65-year-old retiree, we're talking about someone who still has lifespan in their career, right? This individual could come back to work for the Bureau or any other Portland City Bureau. And I don't want that to happen. And I don't think anyone here does. My support for the settlement is in support of my desire to terminate the relationship between this officer and the city quickly and permanently, as well as limit our expenses. And I don't feel good about it, and I don't expect anyone else to feel good about it either.
Well said. Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you, Mayor. If you run into a drunk on the street who's white in a suit, let him go, because he'll probably see you. If he's Latino, call chairs. If he's black, shoot him. That is what the officer said. That is why other officers turned them in. I am happy that those officers turned them in and that there was a process. I appreciate the fact that the mayor has taken emergency clause off, because I would not, under any circumstances, vote for this settlement. It's clear, as Commissioner Udaley said, that we have a broken system. This afternoon, I'm going to be reading a resolution for Black History. And if I cannot believe that this particular officer worked for 25 years for Portland Police Bureau and never uttered a racist thought before he was in this roll call. I just can't believe that. Anybody with common sense would not believe that. Therefore, it is absolutely critical that the next Portland Police Association contract talks include people like me, who've been around for a lot of contract talks, to make sure that the people of the city of Portland are well represented. If it was up to me, I say let's go to arbitration. Let's fight the good fight. Because even if we lose it, we send a very strong message that this is just not acceptable, and you don't get to sit in roll call and make racist comments and then get a payday on top of your city paid retirement. This is absolutely not acceptable, and this is not the first time we've seen this, but I certainly hope it's the last time.
Very good. This is a first reading of the non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Next item, item 4.
Accept recommendations of the Special Appropriations Committee for the fiscal year 18-19 competitive special appropriations grant.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. For the record, my name is Craig Gaines. I'm an analyst in the city's grants management division. And today I'm here to put forward the recommendations of the Special Appropriations Committee for fiscal year 18-19 competitive special appropriation grants. Just want to point out that this third year, the grants management division is overseeing the administration of the special appropriation competitive grants process. In the first year, the allocation to the program was $1 million, and we awarded 20 grants.